Zapier is valued at $4 billion by Sequoia. Gitlab has a fresh new $6 billion valuation as it considers going public, and Twilio CEO writes a book. That and more on this week's PLG123. Let's dive in. Tab 1. Tab 1 is from the information and is about Zapier's surprise round with Sequoia. You probably know and love Zapier, either A, because your product integrates with Zapier in order to give it more superpowers, or B, you're an end user who leveraged Zapier yourself in order to superpower your own productivity stack with powerful workflows. Well, first off, it turns out that there is a lot of money to be made by connecting SaaS apps and moving data around and automating workflows, because this article points to the fact that Zapier is now at $100 million of ARR. Understandably, a well-known, well-loved product that has $100 million of ARR is certainly going to attract investor attention. And the company just sold shares to Sequoia at a $4 billion valuation. As noted in the article, this was all secondary, meaning liquidity for existing shareholders, but no cash on the balance sheet. So here's why this matters. Zapier is a household name as a product and is also a paragon of PLG success. The company's been around since 2011 and today generates $100 million of ARR while being profitable. And it got there by only raising a $1.3 million seed round many years ago. So that rundown is almost no capital raised, $100 million of ARR, and profitable. This is certainly rare for the startup world, where funding announcements are often celebrated more than actual business execution itself. But this isn't as rare for product-led growth. We can look at examples like Atlassian, MailChimp, SurveyMonkey, and Calendly and see the same path of getting to massive scale without raising a lot of capital out of the gates to do it and operating in a cash flow positive or highly capital efficient manner. So here's what to keep your eye on going forward. Zapier is already a ubiquitous product in many ways, but it's clearly on an absolute tear in terms of its growth and execution, and it's reaching, if not already reached, escape velocity. So as the company increasingly becomes a platform, what does the next phase of its product strategy and business strategy look like? Tab 2. Tab 2 is from CNBC and is about Gitlab's secondary round that values the business at $6 billion. So here's what happened. Gitlab oversaw a nearly $200 million secondary round that valued the business at $6 billion. The article indicates that the last round that Gitlab raised was in 2019, and the business then was valued at $2.75 billion. So from 2.75 to $6 billion in 18 months, I would say that things are going pretty swimmingly over at Gitlab. And that's exactly what we see in the article, with the reference to $150 million of ARR and 74% growth year over year at that really large scale. So here's why this matters. Even before COVID, every company was in effect becoming a tech company thanks to digital transformation. And as we all know, that was dramatically accelerated in 2020. The implication of this is that regardless of industry or product or business model, your technical team, aka developers, are increasingly becoming the most valuable and important team in your now digital company. And while dev tools have been hot for a while, we're seeing a whole new level of demand for these products as technical teams increasingly become the vital organs of nearly every industry and company. This means that it's a large and growing market that can support multiple winners, like GitLab, GitHub, Atlassian, and many other best-of-breed products as well. So unlike other markets, this is definitely not a winner-take-all market. So here's what to keep your eye on going forward. Gitlab has previously talked about going public, and the CEO says that that's still the plan. So will it go public this year, or will it continue to stay private longer, as the access to private capital has clearly been very strong and robust for the company? And this also shows another interesting trend, which we've talked about here in the PLG123 before, which is the idea of a single integrated platform versus a stack of best-of-breed applications. We've talked about this in the context of Zoom versus Microsoft and Google, but we're seeing it here in the context of developer tools and the DevOps toolchain. GitLab takes the approach of a single end-to-end integrated DevOps platform, while many others in the market take a best-of-breed approach. So what will win in this market? What will it win in other markets? It's going to be interesting to watch. Tab 3. Tab 3 is from TechCrunch and is about the new book published by Twilio CEO Jeff Lawson. So here's what happened. Jeff Lawson is the co-founder and CEO of Twilio. And Twilio isn't just ubiquitous, it's made multiple billion-dollar acquisitions of other API-first companies like SendGrid and Segment. So in many ways, it's becoming the API company in the market, at least the largest. And Twilio began as a single API product with the classic tagline, "Ask your developer." And so Jeff Lawson has now published a book under the same name. And the book has apparently struck a chord because this tweet from Jeff Lawson indicates that it's already a Wall Street Journal bestseller. So here's why this matters. Besides being a brilliant marketing approach, what does the book actually say? We can head over to askadeveloper.com and get the quick synopsis. In many ways, it reads like an ode to digital transformation. The book gives the example of a bank and the fact that we all judge our bank by its app, whereas in the past, we might have judged the bank by its branch and the tellers and more of a high-touch service offering. Back to the bank example, you can't just have a mobile app, you have to have a good mobile app, and ideally one that's better than the competition, either in its speed and performance or in having additional features that's not offered by other banks. And Lawson's argument is that digital transformation can't be outsourced. You can't merely buy prepackaged software off the shelf and expect to differentiate and drive that unique experience for your end users and for your customers. You have to build something unique. And Lawson points to the classic trade-off of build versus buy, and he extends it and says that today, it's more like build versus die. So if the book sounds interesting to you, head over to askyourdeveloper.com and get a copy. So here's what to keep your eye on going forward. As Twilio increasingly becomes the dominant API company in the market, who's it going to acquire next after recently closing its acquisition of Segment? And second, which software CEO is going to be the next to publish a book? Personally, I would love to see a book co-authored by Mark Benioff and Stuart Butterfield on the future of work and software's role in it. Well, that does it for this week on the PLG123. Make sure to follow me on LinkedIn for more daily PLG content, and stay tuned for our weekly episode drops of the PLG123 coming at you right here on LinkedIn. Hope you all are having a great week, and take care.